Twisted Christian. Today I'm going to be talking about the simple stone, the stone that will wipe out debt in the United States. But before we get into that, I'd like to thank you guys for your support on Patreon. For those who give one-time donations on PayPal, those are much appreciated. This gives me time to do the research and everything I need to do to keep these videos coming. Keep doing the research on the stocks. Keep doing the research on the things that you guys are sending me as well to look over and then eventually post and talk about. And I have posted another stock from Maxine Butler. So it looks like it's a pretty good stock. So there is another stock on Patreon. Go to the Patreon, sign up, so you can get a chance to take a look at that. A lot of the things that I post on Patreon will be for Patreon users only. Eventually down the line, some things will come across for my YouTube subscribers as well. The first thing I want to do is I want to put up what Kim Clement said about the stone. I think that's important. It's just a couple minutes. Just listen, and then we'll come back.
The giant of death, the giants that have come, the brothers of Goliath, stand in glee watching America. We will cripple you. You will lose your credit. But God said, watch. I said 20,000. Look not to Wall Street, however, observe. And they shall say, what is your plan for this giant? And he will take a simple stone. Remember the name. And he will hold it up and they will laugh at him. But the plan is so brilliant, says the Lord. It could only have been given by me.
All right, so they say, he says here, for they are saying, this is a quote from Kim Clement, his prophecies concerning this. And I think, when we say a stone, some people have said it's the dinar. Some people said it's gold. But I'm going to provide a totally different alternative to all of that. Because even if all the gold that the United States has, even in its unproven reserves, once we locate it, I am not sure it is enough to take out all the debt. I don't know all of that, but I know there is one thing that could wipe out the debt with one simple stone and restore the fortunes to the United States very, very easily. Okay, he says, how do we kill the giant? How do we kill the giant of debt? This is back in 2014, so keep that in mind. I'm going to go ahead and skip some of what he said. The giant of debt, the giants that have come, the brothers of Goliath, stand in glee watching America. We will cripple you. You will lose your credit. But God said, I said 20,000. Look not to Wall Street, however, observe. And they shall say, what is your plan for this giant? And he will take a simple stone. Remember the name. And he will hold it up, and they will laugh at him. But the plan is so brilliant, says the Lord, it can only have been given by me. Now, that's one of the things. Okay, so he said he will take a simple stone, right? And he doesn't refer to gold. He doesn't refer to dinar or anything like that. I think Mark Taylor and a few other people have said possibly gold or oil. I think he said oil. But I'm going to provide, like I said, a totally different alternative. All right, I have an article here, right? And this is April 14th, 2017. This is during his transition, right? His transition team. Donald Trump's transition team asked NASA for details on its for-profit partnerships and sought information about the potential to mine resources on the moon, according to a trove of internal documents obtained by Motherboard. According to the documents, the questions from Trump's agency review team largely focused on the interest of commercial space mining and NASA's potential help them turn profits. Here's the top-line request of one document. Provide data and examples of how NASA does technology development, perhaps in the form of products when working with the industry, for example, types of contracts, partnerships, intellectual property arrangement. The interest is how the results of the government-funded development gets disseminated or not. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and skip down. The documents also included a slideshow with details about the potential for mining operations on the moon. One of the challenges of lunar mining, NASA pointed out that it's difficult to locate deposits of useful minerals from space. A ground-based prospecting mission would likely be necessary. NASA explained that the U.S., along with Taiwan, is developing a concept for a lunar prospector mission. The prospector mission will focus on investigating resources on the moon that would be necessary for human habitation, including oxygen, hydrogen, and other valuable compounds. There are a number of other resources on the moon, including rare earth metals that could be of interest to commercial companies, but Motherboard points out stripping the moon for profit could put the U.S. at risk of violating the 1967 Outer Space Treaty, which forbids lunar unilateral private use of space resources. Whether Trump will actually push for mining on the moon remains to be seen, of course, but the arm of NASA that deals with human spaceflight is one of those few scientific sectors of the non-military government that isn't facing major cuts in the White House proposal. Alright, so that's just one article. Alright, here's another article going back to 2017. This is, you got to remember, this is after he's taken office. We're going in the 4th month. The Trump administration is interested in extracting resources from the moon. We may be going back to the moon and bringing some of it back. Alright, so that's just another article. When you really get into the depths of the transition team and what they discuss not just mining the moon, but also mining asteroids too as well. And part of this article, just listen to what it's saying. The commercialization of low Earth orbit could mean a treasure trove of resources totaling up to potentially trillions of dollars. Rare and valuable resources such as platinum group metals can be mined from nearby asteroids or the moon over a sustainable period of time. That is, only if NASA has the chance to survey the moon, polar volatiles, or regions that include mineable water, hydrogen, and methane, substances that can supply long-term human missions in the future. This apparent focus from the administration is notable as lunar asteroid mining has received increased interest from the private sector over recent years, with companies such as Planetary Resources and Next Gen Space, the president of which, Charles Miller, is a part of Trump's team, advocating for the feasibility and profitability of such endeavors. There we go again. He's got somebody on his team that's involved in this. So you can see that obviously there's a push to do this. All right, here's another article. This is dated June 27th, I believe, of this year. Okay, NASA headed towards giant golden asteroid that can make everyone a billionaire on Earth. Now, in a lot of you can see a lot of these articles. Doesn't matter which news agency it comes from. They always say getting an asteroid and mining the asteroid would crash our current system. Well, first of all, our current system is based off the central banking system, which is basically based off of credit and a bunch of other junk, and that's why we have $244 trillion in debt. So they're saying that this particular asteroid that they're looking at is worth 10,000 quadrillion dollars. And it says right here, that means, okay, now just listen. And since it's worth that much, that means if we carried it back to Earth, it would destroy commodity prices and cause the world's economy worth 75.5 trillion to collapse. Okay, now listen to this. But the 4 to 5 million ounces of gold they bring to the market every year pales in comparison to the conquest available in space. All right, now that's one of the things. Now, of course, if you're looking at our current central banking system, yeah, I can see it maybe crashing. But I've read some really good articles from professors who discuss the idea of mining without it affecting our economy, which means that even if the United States or NASA brought an asteroid back and it had, $50 trillion worth of gold and other minerals and resources and other metals, that doesn't mean that it has to be included in our reserves. Right now, there's another article I read about taking an asteroid and then bringing it to the moon. Right? You can grab an asteroid that's coming by Earth, you capture it and you drag it over to the moon, set it on the moon, and then your robots and whatever else can mine the metals off of that, and then they get sent back to the United States or however. All right, it says here, this is forget coal. Asteroid mining is coming sooner than you think. Robots are paving the way towards lucrative space mining as NASA and private startups launch pioneer prospecting missions, precious metal-rich asteroids. Now, I've looked into some of the companies that are involved, that are possibly involved in this mining asteroids, and I think that's going to be something that I probably won't, unless the stock is really cheap. I won't be able to get in to invest in some of those companies until later on. And I think that if they seriously do this, it's going to be not just the debt of the United States being erased, but we're also looking at being able to profit ourselves and investing in those companies. Yep, there's an article from 2018. Space mining could become a real thing, and it could be worth trillions. And one of the biggest things that's kind of holding a lot of this up is the legality about ownership of space resources, right? Because the UN has resolutions, we can't, there are certain things that we can't do out there. But when you really think about it, if you found an asteroid that was worth $22 trillion that was coming towards the Earth, and the President of the United States says, hey, we want to spend $1 trillion to go get this asteroid, bring it to the moon, and mine it. And that's how much it's going to cost. It's going to cost us $1 to $2 trillion to do it, and I need the support of the American people so that we could do it. It's going to be, we'll make $22 trillion off this asteroid, right? I think a lot of you would go for that. So I think this is something that, when they were talking about what Kim Clement said, that the idea, it's going to be ridiculous, right? They're going to laugh. People are going to laugh about it, about the simple stone. But you know what? It kind of makes me wonder. It kind of makes me wonder what they're already doing. Are they already planning secret missions, planning secret things, building spacecraft and so forth? Because at the end of the thing, if you spend the money now, you're definitely going to get it back later, because you're going to bring the United States out of debt. For all I know, the simple stone could be the moon. But asteroids, I think the moon, from what I've read from all the different articles, that the moon could be used as a mining station, and you could bring the asteroid to the moon, and you can mine the moon too itself. I think we should be careful about mining the moon, but I think that it would be plausible and really at the cost to mine these. You think one or a couple $1 trillion to bring back an asteroid to the moon to mine, when it could be worth, you saw some of the articles. Some of these asteroids are worth quadrillions, trillions. Think about it. And I just want to show this last article. Space miners race to an asteroid worth quintillions. All right, so they are looking into this. They are taking a serious look at this. They're saying this one could be worth $700 quintillion. That's ridiculous. Here we are on Earth, and the way that the world is set up and the way that the system is now, and we have people starving. We have a lot of resources that we could use just here on Earth to make everything in the way God intended it to be. But it's just one of those, this whole space mining thing. Is this the stone? Will we capture an asteroid and somehow use it as a reserve system, or use it as part of our reserve system that could wipe out our debt? That's the interesting thing. And if you guys are interested, just type in space mining asteroids, and just read all the different articles that are out there. A lot of the mainstream news will tell you that it'll crash our system, but there are professors out there that are experts in this, have stated that you don't have to include these asteroids in our current system. It could be something that's outside of our current mining system, that accounts for gold and rare earth metals and so forth, that it doesn't have to be included in those numbers. You could keep it separate. Yet you could wipe out the debt over a very short period of time by mining an asteroid. So tell me, guys, what you think, because I've heard gold, I've heard dinar, a simple stone, right? Could it be the moon, or could it be just simply an asteroid? And that's the whole thing, is how do we get around the current UN laws? And I think if it was up to the president of the United States, I think that he would he would do what it takes to change those laws, and I think he's going to. $22 trillion the United States is in debt. It's very, very difficult to get rid of. Even if you revalue the dinar and you wipe out most of the debt, you're still incurring debt because you're already spending at a high rate. It doesn't really solve a lot of the problems. Yes, a lot of that money will go right back into the system. It'll be taxed and everything. But as far as the long term and the amount of money that the United States spends, you got to think about it. When Obama took office, the debt was at 10 trillion. When he left office, it was 20 trillion. Since Trump has been in there, I think it's gone up between $2 to $3 trillion. So the amount of money that we're spending, the way that it's going now, because we have to spend it, we have to keep the roads going, we have to keep these government agencies going. There's so many things that have to be done that something else has to. It's not just about wiping out the debt. It's also about being sustainable after we wipe out the debt. Because after we wipe out the debt, well, we can start recurring it now. Politicians are like, oh, we just wiped out $22 trillion worth of debt. Let's see what else we can start spending all this money on. Just tell me what you guys think about it. Is an asteroid or the moon the simple stone? Tell me what you guys think. And not only that, if you guys also know, if you guys want to do the research on space mining companies, post a comment link on the Patreon or on the YouTube when this video does get to YouTube, and start posting some of the companies. I know some of the companies, but there might be there might be a few that I'm missing, and something that might be for us to invest in. Maybe not necessarily now if they're cheap enough, but if not, then maybe later on, as our other wells come through, that we can invest in something like that. And so, with that being said, push a Christian out.